So tell me a little bit about how you work with local community and how you work with your bigger community.
So I basically started a golf outing in 2008 when I was watching the news and I realized we wanted to see how we could make an impact on helping fellow veterans, first responders, and people that really needed, because at the time we were losing a lot of guys and many families and girls and a lot of injuries. So I started up a golf outing in 2008. It went, and we do it at Bethpage lately because we grew so much. But we have probably last year alone, we netted $130,000, and we are now to almost $1.3 million net.
One of the things, and before I let you get into all of that, but one of the things I always found remarkable about you is that you were one of the most creative, real estate, knowledgeable professionals that I've ever worked with. But you are a title company and you are somebody that can get almost any mortgage done. So why don't you share a little bit about what you actually do for a living?
Sure. 30 years now, been doing mortgages, started working for a builder, and that's really where I learned a lot. I worked for a builder, I got my real estate license, I was selling the models, and at the time back in the day, it was hand loan applications. I would sit with the people taking their loan application as well as picking out their roofing.
For folks that don't know what a bank statement loan is,
Sure.
It's usually where you prove cash flow through bank
Just deposit. Yep.
Right? If you are a small business and you are in business for yourself, right? Sometimes it's a little easier to prove cash flow than it is tax returns, right?
Correct. 100%. And with that, I did on a SEMA, which is a consolidation on the mortgage assignment. It was in Brooklyn. The mortgage tax in Brooklyn is 1.8%. We took an extra 3 weeks to close. I told him, I said, just wait for the SEMA. He goes, I don't want to wait. I go, it's basically $70,000.
I was going to say, it's worth a lot of money. Wait, 3 weeks.
Yes, and most brokers, and I mean that, most people just want to close the loan immediately. They're worried about the commission, and they say, I'm not even going to mention this to the consumer. I'm not going to confuse them. I think it's like that old adage, an educated consumer, like Sims, our best client. Absolutely. People that can have that kind of language where I can speak to and they get it, it's phenomenal. But I also speak to people that have no idea, they're first-time home buyer, but I'll take the time and listen to what they're doing because it's all about that. It's not what I wanted to do.
The other really terrific thing about you is you don't dismiss your colleagues who do what you do. You collaborate with them. You will not only place a loan someplace other than where you might benefit, but you also collaborate with other brokers and and banks and other people. So I know you are regularly closing deals with collaborators. I won't say competitors, but collaborators, because it's the right thing to do for you, for them, and other people feel very comfortable, right? That you'll work the deal with them and that everything
100%.
at the end of the day ends in the best possible situation for all involved.
We're always hoping for win-win. Win-win wins, like I said, are that much better. And there's enough out there that we don't have to compete and we work in different areas. So I think it's just important that I truly believe as long as you treat everyone with respect, that it comes back to you.
Chris, you are one of the most charitable people I know. Not just your contribution of time and resources and money, but you have a heart as big as the planet. And it is such a pleasure to talk to you because the work you do has a lot of ripples, impacts families, impacts people in a huge way. And what you do really is some of the biggest milestones in people's lives. But that layered on top of the charitable work you do and how you support community is really unbelievable. So tell me a little bit about how you work with local community and how you work with your bigger community. And maybe tell everybody about the event that you run, which is probably one of the best golf outings on Long Island.
Thank you. And thank you, Lisa, so much. I appreciate the opportunity and the kind words.
Well deserved, my friend. Well deserved.
Thank you. So I basically started a golf outing in 2008 when I was watching the news and I realized a lot of things that were going on with our fellow soldiers and Air Force veterans served in Desert Storm. And I realized that we wanted to see how we could make an impact on helping fellow veterans, first responders, and people that really needed, because at the time we were losing a lot of guys and many families and girls and a lot of injuries. So I started up a golf outing in 2008. It went, the first outing technically was May of 2009, because logistically it takes 7-8 months just to get that off. Now we do it almost a year in advance. We finish the first, take a month off and start again.
Anybody that's participated in a golf outing knows how much work that is.
Yeah, it's a lot. And
it's a big lift.
It really, and I do it as two parts. So there's the golf outing in the morning to the afternoon, and then there's the gala at night. And we help benefit. And a lot of people do say that about the outing, and we take pride in that. That it is one of the best. I feel definitely, but my board does, and many people who go to it. That is, it is a phenomenal event and experience. We do it at Bethpage lately because we grew so much, but we have probably last year alone we netted $130,000. That's after the cost of the golf outing, the greens fees, the all the ancillary stuff. We don't pay our people. Our whole board is all on the cuff, and we are now since 2009, the first outing, we're over 1.2, almost 1.3 million dollars net to
That's amazing.
veterans and first responders, and we've helped from Wounded Warrior Project. That was the first one I started helping in 2009, where we raised 22,000 net. To now we're outing before last year was the Ryder Cup, so we could only do one golf course instead of two. So we had to do it at Stonebridge last year, but the year before was Bethpage, where we did over 150,000, 170,000 some years.
So I want you to share, if you don't mind, share with folks where that money goes. Because yes, you're all
Sure.
volunteer, none of you take a salary, which is
Yes.
great. And we'll talk about your business, like what pays your bills. But I really want people to understand this golf outing because the impact you have on community and those in need and our veteran population is remarkable. You are exceptionally well known in that arena for all the work you do. I mean, it's the first time I became aware of what a track chair was.
Right. So the track chair is the Independence Fund. One of my friends, Sarah Verardo, who started the Independence Fund, her husband Mike was injured pretty bad, and injured pretty bad overseas, and he had hundreds of surgeries. He has passed away this year, actually.
I'm sorry.
The last 12 months, yeah. But he was a great guy and never gave up and just kept fighting the fight. Had kids, and he's passed away. But they did this track chair that for about $16,000 takes the veteran anywhere. So he had lost his foot, he had lost fingers on his hand, traumatic brain injuries as well, and it's a great tool because what it does, it allows the veteran to be pretty normal. Whereas they can go on the beach with their kid, not how am I going to play with my family when my family go on the beach, but I can't. They're going to be carried over. I don't want to be carried. I want to carry my kid. So they're a phenomenal charity, very good people. We help them. We help Wounded Warrior Project, which helps veterans come back and get resumes and counseling and all these great grants that they give to other charities like Paws of War, which is my main one. I was a dog handler in the U.S. Air Force. So animals are very key to me, and dogs especially. I always say, if you don't like a dog, you have no soul. Because how could you not care for an animal like that and see what they give to us? And so Paws of War, when they help veterans all the time and first responders from basically taking their own lives. There are many times, and they give them a purpose in life instead of being self-medicated, whether it's drugs or alcohol. They take that dog and they have to get up. You can't be hung over and feed a dog or have some responsibility.
Right.
So it's almost their first step back to coming back to the world. We've helped some veterans along the way, even veterans that have been homeless, that have been, alcohol dependent or chemical dependent, and get out of living out of their car and becoming a purpose, a drive, a positive attribute to community. And we're actually helping that person get a house rent. That we'll talk about a little later, but we're helping getting them a mortgage fund and a house, and it's a huge success story. And so 9/11 fund. There's more people in Wisconsin. We have a 9/11 park. There are more names on that 9/11 on those walls that have passed away than since 9/11. Since that day, 2009, 97 people, 343 of them are firemen that passed away. There's a lot more. So we get names they get names every year, and we're helping them this year on their New Ground, which helps homeless veterans. I can go on and on. There's so many charities, so many great things. Tunnels to Towers, we help them. We work hand in hand with them. They're great helping all the way through.
So
Sorry.
$1.2 million you've raised since you started this golf outing, which is remarkable. And I can't imagine the hundreds of people that you've helped. And I just think sometimes it's easy to get lost in the language of, oh, there are vets. Yes, we know they serve, but I don't think we stop often enough to really consider what they've done so we can live the way we do, right? Our freedoms probably have, I don't want to get into politics, but probably have never been more at risk than they are today. And the idea that we have folks that they give everything. and some, that ultimate sacrifice. But the idea that you spend your time, your free time, your downtime supporting people that, help us live the life that we do is
And Lisa,
remarkable.
last year, by the way, every year also we help a local veteran or their family if they're not with us anymore. Last year we helped the Matthews family. He was U.S. Army, so he's a veteran, FDNY, and Selden Fire Department, and his wife also Selden Fire Department, and his son Jack got cancer at 18 months old. We raised money for the family to help them with bills. We put them in touch with Friends of Karen, which helps children. Like it's all a community. We're helping all these different organizations and people that aren't aware of these organizations are out there. And not to get political, we shouldn't even have to do these out. These guys and gals should be taken care of by the government. It shouldn't. I always say we always find the money to send our brave men and women to war, but we never find the money to take care of when they get back. And Matthew's family, unfortunately, Jack had passed away about 6 weeks after the outing, and we did another fundraiser for him at the Islanders US practice and raise more money for them as well. And that's kind of what we do. And I do that. I do also the Chamber of Commerce, which you and I have spoken about in the past. I was on the Smithtown all the way through the ranks, director, second, first vice president, past president. We started up a Comac Chamber of Commerce. That where I live and grew up, that town did not have a Chamber of Commerce. We started that. And we do many things, mostly for the business structure community that they need it, but also for the community. We just did Easter egg hunt Sunday, and we had over 500 of the people from the community with their kids, and they loved it. It was the second annual. Last year, I did the logistics, but I couldn't be there because I was in Florida. But that's
But it
what
brings
we
me
do.
full circle to you as a community person, and you support the community where you live, you support your bigger community, your fellow vets.
100%.
Um, and because of what you do, because you actually do have a job that you earn a living,
That's
um,
what they tell me.
and you're exceptional at it. One of the things, and before I let you get into all of that, but one of the things I always found remarkable about you is that you were one of the most creative, real estate, knowledgeable professionals that I've ever worked with. And when there's a problem or there's a new structure, people have to think outside the box. I send them to you because nobody thinks outside the box like you do, and you'll figure out a way to get it done, right? And it may not be clear cut, like this is how it happens. There may be a variety of other things that have to happen, but you are a title company and you are somebody that can get almost any mortgage done. So why don't you share a little bit about what you actually do for a living?
Sure. What pays the bills, as we
What
say.
pays the bills?
I pays the bills, and my two kids are two young kids, and,
Yeah.
and they, planning them for college and everything else. And a beautiful wife is that 30 years now in doing mortgages. I started working for a builder, and that's really where I learned a lot. I worked for a builder. I got my real estate license. I was selling the models, and at the time back in the day, it was hand loan application. I would sit with the people taking their loan application as well as picking out their roofing, 30-year dimensional, or how we were going to do it.
Which elevation would you like?
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. What kind of windows? Grade A, one, two, three, and the upgrades,
Yeah.
right? And then I take the loan application in. I literally, you know, collect all the docs, ordering the title, the appraisal, reading, clearing the conditions, locking the loans, clearing the file, and finally scheduling. And I did all of that. It was a one-man mortgage company for this builder. And finally, I was like, this is great, but I'm not really making a lot. And I kind of felt more I was building, the more I was bringing in, he was cutting my pay. So I said, it's time to move on. And he goes, oh, I'll match it. I said, today you will, but tomorrow you might go back to it. I appreciate the opportunity. And I moved on and I opened up my own title company in '07, right before the crash. And even then in '09, when the market did crash, we converted the mortgage company to basically a tax returns company. Because I did see the writing on the wall. When I opened my title company in '07, I said, okay, this market's not going to keep going, but you still need title insurance. People just still buy cash, and the land barons of the 20s might come back. So I had that in my thought, and I did tax grievances for 3 years because if we couldn't get the value to refinance it, neither could the town. So we did that, kept my infrastructure, kept a lot of my staff, my office back then, like a printer. Oh, I don't want to get rid of my printer. Like that was a big thing. Now it's a joke. But that's what I do. I take very much pride. I'm still like a 1 point broker where 90% of these lenders charge a lot more. I take a lot of pride in the VA loans. I pretty much know it inside and out. If I don't, I have a great head processor that is phenomenal at what she does. And she's very tied into the military. Her father, a 3-time Purple Heart recipient, and a great guy. And whenever I I do have the opportunity to talk to him. I like to pick his brain at the time. But he's not doing as great as he used to back then. But it's important to me. I take pride in what I do, and if I can't figure it out now, I'll tell you, look, you can't do it now, but 3 months. Do this in 6 months.
Right.
Or there's different programs that we do, and bank statement program, debt service coverage ratio, profit and losses. It's just a lot of out there. I even referred someone to Sunny Mae today. I don't do Sunny Mae loans. Person needed a Sunny Mae loan. That was the right program for the person. So to
It
me,
was
it
the
doesn't
right
matter.
thing to do,
Yeah,
right?
well, I
Go
look
back
at it
to
from
Bruce's
that tenfold,
statement.
right?
Bruce's statement, right? There's no right way to do the wrong thing.
That's correct.
So when
Correct.
you do the right thing, it comes back tenfold.
Absolutely. Very proud of it. I like what I do. I look myself in the mirror, and I'm very comfortable with the advice I give. And I think people understand that and know that that's what they're going to get.
So you don't just do the residential, you do commercial loans too.
Yeah. Mostly I refer to similar now. I'm getting more and more involved with commercial because it's just one step further. Like we did the hard money where I was back in the day in 2003 to 2009. I used to loan myself and my best friend and other family members. We'd loan out money at a 50% loan to value on first or a 60 on second when they were in foreclosure. We'd basically white knight lending and we'd
Right.
save them their house. And then in
Sure.
6 months, we'd put them in alternative lending. And then in 6 months, we get them with back then you could go to Wells Fargo and Chase,
Right.
Washington Mutual. Within a year, we had them in a normal loan and bailed them out of foreclosure. They kept their house. But unfortunately, a judge in some state and some location said, you can't afford that rate, Mr. Whoever. What can you afford? They said 4%. And overnight, primary residence, hard money was done. It was, everyone pulled out. And it was the unintended consequences, which usually happen, hurt, I feel, the consumer more than it actually helped. So I basically did that on it. I do some of my own bridge loans if it's going to make sense. I do some commercial work that I refer. I was just running into a bank and just talked to them about 3 or 4 clients that have multiple properties with them that they're working mortgages on. And it stems from the relationship that they're comfortable with. And the title company ties into it too because of the bank work and the title work. So I'm able to reciprocate with attorneys where I can send them bank work, they could send title work. It's a very nice way to do business where you're not having to worry about the other element out.
It's so interesting. So now they've all heard a little bit about your background and some of the things you've done. So maybe they understand my statement that you're one of the most creative, real estate people that I know. And that just means that you're aware of the marketplace, you're aware of all of the programs out there, and hearing somebody's circumstances or what they're looking to accomplish, you really know how to direct and place them.
Yeah,
And if it's not with you, it's with somebody
with
else.
someone else. I travel. I go away like the next month. I'm going to Florida. In January, I was at another different location and basically a 3-day event where I sit down or meet these different lenders of what they're doing. I ask them about scenarios I'm trying to figure out and don't have a place for. We have a bank list. I have an assistant that sends out a blind CC to these lenders. This is the scenarios and comes back. So I think like anything, education is very important, any industry you do. And the more people you talk to, the more you find out some niche lenders. There's some new lender that wants to get their name out there. So they allow this 60% loan to value rather than everyone else is doing 50. And that is worth its weight in gold because you solve the problem and it's a win-win for everyone.
And
Win-win-win
it's a moment, right? It's a moment in time. Programs change all the time.
all the time. I just had last year, I had a client got turned down by Chase. CPA referred him to me. I did a bank statement program for 12 million. It's a doctor. Bank statements alone. Got it approved 4 million. 2 months ago, I refinanced him in a rate and term, dropped his payment a point and a half. It went down $5,500 a month.
So
Now
for
he's
wait,
doing
wait,
30
wait.
million. Yes.
For folks that don't know what a bank statement loan is,
Sorry.
it's usually where you prove cash flow through bank
Just
statement,
deposit. Yep.
right? And if you
Yes.
are a small business and you are in business for yourself, right? Sometimes it's a little easier to prove cash flow than it is tax returns, right?
Correct. 100%. And with that, I did on a SEMA, which is a consolidation on the mortgage assignment. It was in Brooklyn. The mortgage tax in Brooklyn is 1.8%. We took an extra 3 weeks to close. I told him, I said, just wait for the SEMA. He goes, I don't want to wait. I go, it's basically $70,000.
I was gonna say it's worth a lot of money. Wait, 3 weeks.
Yes. And most brokers, and I mean that, most people just want to close the loan immediately. They're worried about the commission. And they say, I'm not even going to mention this to the consumer. I'm not going to confuse them. I think it's like that old adage, an educated consumer, like Sims, our best client. It absolutely. People that can have that kind of language where I can speak to and they get it, it's phenomenal. But I also speak to people that have no idea, they're first time home buyer, and
Right.
I'll educate them. And I feel I'm a little more cynical or ornery these days, so I don't get a lot of sleep. But I'll take the time and listen to what they're doing because it's all about that. It's not what I want them to do. It's what is their goal? What do they
Right.
ultimately want to do?
How am I going to help you get to where you want to
Do you
be?
want a 10-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage? What do you want and what can you prove? Now, okay, this is what you want. Can we make it happen? Let me
Right.
see. And that's what I
Right.
do.
And the other really terrific thing about you is you don't dismiss your colleagues who do what you do. You collaborate with them. You will not only place a loan someplace other than where you might benefit, right? You might
All right.
place a loan and it doesn't have a benefit to you because it's the right thing to do. But you also collaborate with other brokers and other
Yes.
and banks and other people. So I know you are regularly closing deals with collaborators. I won't say competitors, but collaborators, because it's the right thing to do for you, for them, and other people feel very comfortable, right? That you'll work the deal with them and that
A hundred
everything at
percent.
the end of the day ends in the best possible situation for all involved.
We're always hoping for win-win. Win-win wins, like I said, are that much better. And there's enough out there that we don't have to compete and we work in different areas.
Mhm.
So I think it's just important that I truly believe as long as you treat everyone with respect, that it comes back. You do it, it's tenfold with charity. It's everything. We are so blessed to be in this country. People like I lived in the Philippines for 2 years. I lived in the Middle East. People have no idea how the real world is. They just live in their bubble in New York or Long Island. And some of them, I remember my sister's like, I haven't even needed a passport. And I'm like, okay, you're 50 years old. You should have gotten a passport by now. And just see how cultures are and respect people's cultures and learn when you're in their country to do the same. And I think that we're so blessed here that a lot of people take for granted that they're almost spoiled. And it's tough to kind of bring them down. Mommy or daddy's money is giving them a gift. This person's doing that. I want this now. Well, that might be what you want, but let me kind of, I hate to be the messenger of this, but I'm going to give you some expectation. But at the end of the day, by me figuring it out and giving them better rate than that they would have gotten at a traditional lender, or for the
Mhm.
most part someone else, they're saving that kind of money. And I literally just I'm figuring out. I had a bridge loan on someone you're just talking about for
Yeah.
a bridge loan is basically loaning the money as a gap until they get more finance, and they owe 3.2 on $4 million. I'm working on a debt service coverage at 7.5 on 4 million. At the end of the day, they save $20,000 a year and walk away with $500,000.
I was going to
That's
say
what we do.
they'll pay less, they'll save more, right?
You're going from 10 to 7.5 on those numbers, and they're walking with money. That's like to me, that's the way to get them. That's fun,
Yes.
and I do enjoy what I do after 30 years. Where a lot of people hate their job or they're having to grind. Look, is it tough? Yes. Any business you're in should be tough.
Well, when you're good at it, it's tough because circumstances continue to become more and more challenging,
Yes.
right? Buying a house today is not like it was when I bought my first house
Yeah.
35 years ago. I hate to say that out loud, but yeah.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, like you just talked about, the programs change regularly, and every economic turn we take changes programs.
Of course.
So just because I thought I could buy a house 6 months ago, I mean, I bought a house and literally the interest rate changed, and I closed on my house 3 weeks later, and it cost me a point and three quarters. And I was really pissed. I was
I
like,
don't blame you. And it
but there
happens.
was nothing, I know, and there was just nothing to do to get it closed faster. So, at the end of the day, we buy houses in real estate markets that we need to buy a house in, right? Regardless of the market, there are people that chase the market, there are people that chase it up, they chase it down. And at the end of the day, I always say buy real estate when you need to buy real estate, sell real estate when you need to sell real estate. It's not really the investment, it's where you live. That's different. Investment properties, also very different. Ideologies different. Programs are
Yes.
different. But
They're
if,
both investments, but your primary house is where you're going to live, and people have to remember that. And you have to enjoy that location. That if you're going to spend an extra $50 or $100 a month, that's okay. You're getting what you want. You're not going to have to worry about an investment property. Yes, it is strictly an
right,
investment. You run the numbers, and that's that. For a
yeah,
primary residence, there might be. I have people that have overpaid a neighbor. They paid to live next to their sister 80,000 over appraised value, and I go, bro, you're crazy. Literally said to him, I go, you're crazy. He goes,
don't care.
my wife wants to be next to my sister. I said, okay, now I get it. That makes a
Right,
lot of sense. The kids grow up together, the cousins. That's worth the 80 grand. That's worth a half
right.
a million because at the end of the day, it's about the family and the bonding. And it's really important. I think it's everyone's, again, like we said earlier, right? Full circle again. It's all based on that individual where it makes sense. Don't worry about what you're paying. You have to afford it, but make sure you're getting a good deal. Don't get taken advantage of, but make sure for the right reason. And the right reasons could be you want that school district, or you have this, or if you have special needs child, that this school district has a much better program than this. And that those are important things that some people just don't take into account.
And a house that is ADA compliant or has enough space to be ADA compliant, that's critically important for some
Absolutely.
families. So you're 100% right. But at the end of the day, regardless of what your circumstances are, I know you'll figure it out, right? And even on the commercial side, you'll figure it out. Mixed use properties are great for you
Yes.
because you get a little bit of both, 4
I'm
units or
working on
less.
right now, Lisa, a 10 unit mixed use, doctor's office on the bottom,
Yep.
9 other units, one's rent stabilized, one is a 2 bedroom, the other's a 1 bedroom, and on a mixed use on a 10 unit. Finding a lender on that. And I've gotten certain LTVs, I'm looking at higher LTVs, trying to get that. But then the rate changes. So do you want 9.5 at 75% loan to value or 7.5 at 70? We'll figure out that 5% even if we have to bridge. But
Yeah.
that's what we do. We run the numbers. I love math. That's what it is. I can't spell worth a damn, but math is math. And let's see what happens. And that's your money you invest for the kid.
Yeah. And then at the end of the day, people have their options. Clarity.
Options. We give you options. That's what I try
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. I really appreciate the fact that you took time to chat with us and, that we get to share you with folks. You really are exceptional at what you do. But more than that, you are such a wonderful member of the community. I can't say it enough. The work you do has tremendous ripples. And I think if we all just did a small thing, right, we'd all live in a better world. But you really do remarkable things, Chris.
Thank you. 100% agree with you.
Couldn't
We all
be
just have
more
to do a little
proud,
better.
absolutely, to call you my friend. So
Thank you, Lisa. Me too.